then yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's how
Maybe
it goes.
that's an alright film, but
Yeah.
I'd rather this.
Carrey, Apatow, and Stiller liked the setup of somebody who is really smart with technology invading somebody's life, and opted to add slapstick and darker tones, changing into a satire of thrillers such as Cape Fear, Unlawful Entry, and The Hand That Rocks the Cradle. The dialogue would also fit Carrey's style of comedy. Yeah, well, when you hire Jim Carrey, that's just what you do. Holtz wrote 4 additional drafts, each one darker than the previous, before leaving the project and giving Apatow the opportunity to take over the writing. I'll get to that in a minute. Apatow and Stiller visited Carrey as he was filming Ace Ventura: When Nature Calls in South Carolina, and over a few days riffed a lot of the set pieces that were added into the script, and further explored how Carrey wanted to perform the character. I'm assuming that's where the lisp came in.
Guys, picture this. Medieval times. Huh?
To be fair, Medieval Times was huge
In
96.
It was.
I've
big.
never been in my life, and I
I've
have
been a
no
handful of
interest
times.
to go.
I've been a handful of times. But, like, the last time I was there, I was a teenager.
Yeah.
So it's been a minute.
Yeah, and I think I remember...
It's been about a decade and a half.
Yeah, like, I very clearly remember either the late 80s or early 90s when it opened in Toronto, and it was huge.
And the funny thing is, it's the one in Toronto is, like, the one of, like, maybe, like, 5 left in the world.
Mm-hmm. And it's still profitable.
Yeah, it's a tourist thing.
Yeah. I don't get it, but it was never for me anyway.
Yep.
Although Apatow only received a credit as producer, he is also the film's writer. He was denied a screenwriting credit by the Writers Guild of America and challenged the ruling, claiming that he wrote much of the movie's dialogue and many of the scenes. The novelization restores his credit as writer of the film. Part of the deal is Apatow can't claim on anything in the movie that he had anything to do with writing it. For example, the DVD/Blu-ray audio commentary, he actually can't say he's a writer. He can say he wrote it, or wrote some of it, but he can't say he was a writer.
The way the heat that this movie got, I don't think he wants his name on it.
Well, considering he recorded the commentary, I'm sure he's fine with it.
No, he's fine with it, but I just, just...
I mean, Apatow at this point in time,
now he's untouchable.
He's just like, fuck it, I don't
But
care.
1999, 2000, you're like, oh, I wrote Cable Guy. Oh, that's great.
Well,
good for you, Judd.
I don't know. It's hard to say. Because I don't think anyone ever really shit on the writing. I think they were just shitting on the tone, which is not necessarily reflective of the writing.
I think a lot of people would just... It'd be a catch-all criticism.
Perhaps. Holt's version was, according to Ben Stiller, basically a silly buddy comedy. Apatow revised the script to make it bleaker per Jim Carrey's request, going for a funny version of the classic Stalker films. Apatow claimed that there was no physical humor for Carrey in Holtz's version of the script.
Then why did you hire Jim Carrey?
Probably because them guys going, we can do it. We can just get Jim to do it because Jim writes these things. And he does. In every movie, he does do that.
You get Jim, you get physical comedy.
I also think it was 1995 when they were thinking of making this movie, and if you can get Jim Carrey, you do.
That's fair.
You know what I mean?
He's like the biggest movie star on the planet at this time.
That's why you give him $20 million. The final script had elements so disturbing that Columbia heard many complaints regarding certain scenes. In turn, Stiller stated that he shot every scene with a dark version and a light version, and that he was surprised that the studio did not object to the violent ending. Not terribly violent, though.
It could have been, trust me,
there's
scenes where I'll point out in this movie where this movie could have got a lot darker than it did.
Oh, the movie was a lot darker than this. I think I have a couple of them in here, if I remember correctly, that the film was a lot darker. So, as I wrote, the Weird Story Award goes to this. According to Judd Apatow, Larry the Cable Guy's manager was upset by the film. Before we started shooting, I got a call from this friend of mine who managed Larry the Cable Guy, Apatow recalled. He said, Judd, what are you doing? You can't call this movie The Cable Guy. The guy's been working so hard developing this character. You're going to destroy his career. There was nothing I could do to change it, but clearly Larry the Cable Guy has done way better than The Cable Guy. If you had to compare the career of Larry the Cable Guy in this movie, Larry wins, hands down.
True.
It's true. So
I did not know was Dan Fountain doing Larry the Cable Guy in 1996?
I did as much research as I could possibly do.
Stomach.
Yeah, well, Stomach.
Larry the Cable Guy.
And there is no official start date for that character.
Right.
So
because I know you can
whenever
find
the hell
video of him
but that
in the
looks
80s
that's
where
80s.
he's not Larry the Cable Guy. He is Dan Fountains. He is wearing a fucking right Hawaiian shirt and
Yeah.
a glorious permed mullet.
Yeah, because
and he is not speaking like, hey, how you doing?
In case you don't know, he's from New York.
Yeah.
I could not find out when that character began.
Yeah.
And to be fair, I did not dislike that first, and this is going off on a tangent that we'll never get to, that first comedy special, the first blue-collar comedy special.
Oh, with the four of them?
Yeah.
I like that
thought
movie.
that was pretty good.
I legitimately think that's funny.
Yeah, I think so too. I'm not sure how Larry the Cable Guy, of all four of them, became the breakout star. I just don't get it.
Because again, the boisterous, he's a character. The other three are just guys that have a shtick.
Like, I will say, hands down, Ron White was the funniest of the four.
Ron White didn't belong there. That's
he really
why.
didn't. No,
Ron White is to the blue collar comedy tour to draw parallels. The Kings of Comedy.
Yeah.
Like, there's a reason why. Like, Ron White is the Bernie Mac. He's clearly head and shoulders above
everybody else. Yeah.
Like, everyone else is fine. Mm-hmm. They're funny in various degrees.
Yeah.
But the clear star of that film was
Ron White. And yet
because he's the funniest out of all.
And yet somehow the fucking character, the made-up fictional character, somehow became the guy. But hey, whatever, man. No account for taste. I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
Again, my favorite movie is Freddy's Dead. I can't judge anybody's taste in anything. I understand that. I'm okay. Although we didn't learn the verdict in the film, the novelization strongly implies Sam Sweet was found guilty for the murder of his brother Stan. I really wish I could have. I tried. I could not dig out my copy of the fucking novelization. I know I still have it somewhere, but I couldn't find it.
I mean, ultimately, did it matter?
I have lots of boxes of books. No.
Yeah.
I mean, it really didn't. But I wanted to read the novelization because I know a lot of the stuff that I'm about to read of, like, the creepier stuff. I know it's in that novelization. I wanted to read it.
Yeah.
During filming of the scene in which the cable guy plays basketball, it is discovered that Carrey couldn't dribble a basketball, much less make a basket. Director Ben Stiller and Carrey mimed the action without a ball, and visual effects technicians added the basketball in post-production. That's just funny to me.
White men can't jump.
White men can't jump, can't do shit.
White men can't dribble.
Yeah. When Jim Carrey's stunt double dunked the basketball, the backboard shattered on his face and chest. The backboard glass was supposed to fall backwards. Keith Gibbs, the basketball coordinator, said the pyrotechnics didn't work the right way and pushed all the glass in the wrong way, so the guy got fired on the spot.
No shit.
I think in the actual scene they ended up using that take, though. So does he still get the credit then?
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah, I used it.
Yeah.
You could put in, like, parentheses or... like a little
also this guy.
Also fired.
Yeah. Well, I don't think they'll do that. But, like, I wonder, because they ended up using that take. How many times do you think they did that with a new guy? Because they would have had to, like, break and then fired that guy and then brought in a new guy and reshot it and then just went, it's fine.
More than a bunch of... Because you got... The setup alone would take
I got to assume that's got to take hours and a fuck ton of money for the pyrotechnics.
A lot of sugar glass. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Too much.
Yeah.
Fine, you're fired, but we're going to use the take.
Yeah, well, that's pretty much what ended up happening. This, I still don't believe because it's too good. The voice of Sam Sweet on the 911 recording in the MTV News is supposedly not Ben Stiller, but Jim Carrey. It sounds so much like Ben Stiller. I can't imagine. Although Jim Carrey is a very good impressionist.
I don't know. Because it sounds like...
It sounds like Ben Stiller.
Here's the thing. It sounds like a trumped up version of Ben Stiller, like a cartoonish, like...
Well, it was supposed to be,
yeah.
But I don't know. I cannot tell.
I don't
know. I watched the movie twice in preparation for this, and I couldn't tell. I don't know. Like, you would assume Ben Stiller's sitting there directing the damn thing, even those voice takes. Get in the booth, Ben. So get in the fucking booth already. Or maybe he wasn't. Maybe he just wasn't there. Maybe this was like B-roll shit, and like, this was second unit stuff.
Oh, we got Jim here, so Jim, can you do?
Yeah, can you just do that?
Yeah, no problem.
In all fairness,
I'd be like, listen, I'm paying you $20 million goddamn dollars. You're going to be everything in this movie. Do you understand?
A, that could be true, and B, we never heard. It's not like he spoke on camera, so who cares what his voice is?
Yeah.
So it just sounded like Ben Stiller is all. The scene at medieval times where the cable guy asks for Steven's chicken skin and then performs the Silence of the Lamb impression was all improvised. During one take.
That sounds about right.
Jim Carrey asked for the chicken skin and out of nowhere. After doing the Silence of the Lambs bit, Ben Stiller loved it and wanted to keep it. If you look at Matthew Broderick's face during the scene, he's genuinely laughing his ass off.
Yeah, because he's just like, Jim, what are you...
It's like, yeah, he's literally like, what the fuck is going on? In the scene where the cable guy calls Steven late at night to scare him, the novelization tells us he's making the call from Robin's air duct above her cupboard, through which he is seen crawling earlier in the movie. That's why Daddy Longlegs crawls across his face and explains why he has Robin as a hostage in the next scene.
Yeah.
So, that's why that is. In one version of the script, the cable guy gets impaled on the cable dish. Apatow later admitted Jim was very intent on dying at the end of the movie. That was something we couldn't get past everybody. He thought he should sacrifice and die at the end.
That's what I mean by darker.
Mm-hmm. Judd Apatow gave the Los Angeles Times a list of excised scenes, including one where the cable guy shoots Steven with a staple gun and stitches his butt... What? His butt in the shape of a television. What? Another where the cable guy pretends to be a volunteer firefighter and hurls a fireman's axe at Steven. And one scene shot in 40-degree rain in Griffith Park where the cable guy rides up on a horse resembling the Headless Horseman and leaps at Steven, who put a rock to the cable guy's head and threatens him until the cable guy implores him to go into the dark side of the Force. The latter was cut because the evil in Jim Carrey's eyes looked too realistic. Another scene that was cut out was because it didn't get big laughs and scared test audiences that had the cable guy on top of Steven's car acting like the Terminator.
That's too comedic. You can't take that too seriously.
Yeah, but apparently it didn't get a laugh. That's what they were going for.
Really?
They were going for a laugh, and they're like, no, it just scared people.
I don't really.
Yeah.
The whole Rain Park Horseman thing, even with the Star Wars quote, that's
one,
fine.
That one, they cut that
scary.
because it was Jim Carrey. That scared them because Jim Carrey looked like he wanted to kill him.
But you think, like, that's
the Terminator
serious?
thing,
Like,
the
him,
Terminator
like, doing,
thing.
I would assume, some sort of, like, Austrian, German, like...
I don't know how, but no, I think it was just that, it's not that they thought it was serious, it's that they didn't find it as funny as they
I don't even know how you do that as Jim Carrey with a lisp, with the German accent. Steven! I can't do it. I don't know.
I wouldn't even know.
I'm the Terminator.
If anyone can do it, it's Jim Carrey. But like, I would find that hilarious. But that's just me.
Yeah.
Maybe we were too far removed from Terminator at that point. Because at this point, it's like 4 years out from Terminator 2.
When was T2?
92, I think.
Yeah.
91, 92. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess so.
So the legacy of this film, if it has one. The movie underperformed at the box office, which was generally attributed to Jim Carrey deviating from his conventional physical comedy style in lieu of a much darker comedy.
Shit.
A switch not appreciated by most of his fans. When revenues were below predictions after the film's opening, the studio tried to shift the focus of advertising towards the more physical comedy elements. By changing the original poster, which showed Jim Carrey demonically grinning to the audience, to a screenshot from the movie, The Lighthearted Brawl at Medieval Times. Unfortunately, the strategy did very little to improve the movie's box office.
The Blu-ray I have is the one with Jim Carrey on it, and as well it should be.
That's that's literally the all of the marketing that I saw, because like the soundtrack, the soundtrack had that, the novelization had that. I never even saw the one that they're referring to.
Yeah, I wouldn't want. What's the point? What movie am I watching? Is that Jim Carrey Medieval Times?
It's
Cable
weird.
Guy.
Cable Guy. Why is the Cable Guy a knight? Like, I don't understand. Critics gave the film mixed reviews. Roger Ebert included The Cable Guy in his worst of the year list for 1996. His main problem with the film was that he found Carrey's performance too bizarre and creepy, that it undermined the entire story, and also that the movie was more of a dark comedy than was necessary for it to work.
The whole point of it is that he's supposed to be bizarre and creepy.
Yeah, but he also stated the point that I echoed to you, and is basically the reason why this film didn't do all that well. Quote, "We want to like Jim Carrey. A movie that makes us dislike him is a strategic mistake." And that's pretty much the general consensus.
Yes, but you didn't like him in Ace Ventura either.
Well, Roger Ebert and Gene Siskel are not very consistent. Though colleague Gene Siskel disagreed, calling it a very good film. Carrey's best since The Mask. You mean all of 2 films ago?
Yeah.
Like, I'm sorry. I mean, to be fair,
there's 2 movies in between. There's 3
I
movies.
apologize. Yeah. I guess, but still. To be fair.
Also agreed.
Yeah, I'm not disagreeing. Yeah.
Because it's Dumb and Dumber, Batman
Dumb
Forever.
and Dumber, Batman.
Batman Forever is a performance.
H2.
I'm not judging the film, because if you're judging by the film, then yes, Cable Guy is way better than Batman Forever.
Yeah, but I would put his performance as the Riddler above this. But the film itself, no. Judd Apatow, talking about the box office, said Jim was the first person who was paid $20 million to star in a movie, and I think that put a little more attention on the cable guy than if it hadn't happened. I mean, somebody was going to get paid $20 million sometimes. It just happened to be Jim. It was the first time anyone got paid that much money. So people were really tracking the film.